Good evening. I'd like to call the meeting of the North Little Rock Planning Commission to order, please. First, will you please call the roll?
Banks. Glasgow.
Here.
Chambers.
By the grace of God and medical science, I'm here.
Foster.
Yes.
Phillips.
Here.
Pierce.
Here.
Wallace. White. And Chairman Clifton.
Here. Is Ms. Belasco with us today?
She is.
She is. She said here.
Okay, we don't have anything under administrative today. You have been submitted a copy of the minutes of our previous meetings. Are there any additions or corrections?
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to be approved as submitted. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. We'll move right into our Planning Commission. Our first item today is a public hearing, number 2024-03, the Summit Church Hillside Cut variance at 6600 Crystal Hill Road. Mr. Spencer, will you tell us about that?
I think the engineers here, so Josh could go into more detail about it, but they're wanting to do an addition to the Summit Church, and so they're going to cut back the hill back there a little bit more, just like they did 15 years ago or whatever, when they came for us before. So that's what's going on. So they're wanting to do an addition and dig that hill back a little bit more in that area.
You have any comments you'd like to make on that?
You got any more technical than dig a hole?
Well, I mean,
dig a hole?
that's basically it. You know, this.
Go ahead and give us your name for the record, please.
Josh Minton with Minton Engineering. I'm the civil engineer representing Summit Church. And basically what Sean said, that hillside's been cut in the past, and we just need to cut it back some more to make room for a new worship center. The plan that I'm sending you, or passed out, is the same one that I brought to DRC meeting. It's a little bit more updated than what's on the sheet. Since then, the church has bought a piece of property on the north side, and they have I have another piece that's under contract, so we extended that out north a little bit.
Has this been before city engineer looked at?
Yes.
They have, okay. Okay, this is the public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this public hearing on this application? Anyone for? Okay, yes, ma'am. This lady had her hand up first. Come forward and give us your name.
Yes, my name is Karen Alford, and my cousin and I take care of the property that was trying to be purchased. But our concern is if they cut the hill out, there's going to be a lot of rundown on the 4.5 acres. We don't want to destroy the 4.5 acres in case somebody decides to build a house or something. It's going to be a lot of rundown water, and I know they put those little plastic 2-foot barriers up to keep the mud and stuff running down, but if they cut that much of the hill out and it's going to come down behind this property, that's going to damage the property. And that's what our concern was.
Okay, Ms. Alford, thank you. Yes, ma'am. You want to come give us your name for the record?
It's Terry Ayers, and I'm a property owner in White Oak Village, along with 2 of my neighbors. And our concern is just similar to that, what the flooding possibilities might be for the back part of Prospect Trail. And then also, along with the traffic there that we already have a problem with at Crystal Hill and White Oak there. And so we're just kind of wanting to hear what is the plans for that.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Minton, would you like to address those 2 concerns?
Sure, and I'm not exactly sure where y'all's property is located. So the hillside on the north right now, everything's currently draining south toward the church, and that's all going to stay the same. We do have a detention pond that was developed back with the last addition we did with this church, which was probably 10, 12 years ago. That will be expanded once this property is developed. But as far as the hillside, we're not really changing or diverting water to another area. We're getting permitted with ADEQ. We're going to have a stormwater permit. It's going to be managed by a contractor, but if you have specific, if you want to show me where your house is, maybe I can kind of explain what we're doing.
Do we have a laser pointer?
Okay. You live in the subdivision to the? Okay, you have the property that they have under contract, is that right? Okay, so you're more toward Crystal Hill, correct? Okay, on Crystal Hill. So this hillside, we're gonna be bringing everything down, so we shouldn't be diverting water onto your property. It should also be flowing south. But if there's anything that comes up, the church is easy to deal with. We'll make it right if there's anything that happens. Okay, you own on the north side of that. Okay, so there's also built into this, and per city code, there's a buffer requirement. So we're gonna be about, I think it's 30 plus feet from the property line before we start cutting. It's not gonna go right up to your property or right up to the property line.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mitten. Does this answer, somewhat answer your questions that you were asking about? Yes, sir. Come forward and give us your name, please.
I didn't catch the conversation, but my name is Michael Allsbrook. I'm a property owner. I am on Crystal Hill Road, J and K, I believe is the lot numbers. I'm just curious, how is that process of cutting into the hill?
Okay, what they're gonna do is bench into the hill, have
Yeah, sorry.
So there'll be 15-foot benches. It's going to go down 15 and then have a 15-foot flat section. And so it'll be benched down. And you can see similar cuts to that all around in Maumelle and Little Rock. But that's what it's going to look like. And that's kind of the way it looks now, but it's not as uniform or as clean.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Chambers?
One more question, and just to clarify for the persons that are concerned, we asked during the design review committee whether or not the tilt, the direction of the strata in the rock was tilting toward the church, or was it tilting back into the ground? And I believe the geology report says it's tilting back into the ground.
Yes, I believe it said it's tilting 40 to 70 degrees to the north, which would be,
So it's dipping down into the ground toward the
Correct.
north.
Correct. So
Okay.
if we're cutting, it'll be cutting like that.
A most favorable direction.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Please come give us your name.
Hi, my name's Joyce Alford, and I live on Mine Hill Drive in North Little Rock in the White Oak Village neighborhood. And in 2019, we had a flood that kept us from getting out of our neighborhood for, I don't know, about a week, Terry? And so I'd like to know if there's some kind of feasibility study that's been done that is really going to address how this is actually going to affect the water drainage.
Mr. Mitten, can you answer that?
Well, as the church gets closer to actually developing it, we'll have to bring this before y'all again for a site plan review. And at that time, we'll go through storm drainage calculations, we'll have detention figured in, we're gonna meet all the city ordinances and guidelines. This project in itself is not gonna increase any water until we start paving and building, which we'll have to meet with y'all before we do any of that.
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, any other comments from anyone? Yes, sir.
My name's Travis Rutledge, and I live on Prospect Trail, which is the property butted up against where they're going to do this. I've got a concern of noise pollution and light pollution, because when they start taking that hill down, that's one of the only things that reflects the sound back. And we've already got across Crystal Hill that fun complex that they've literally scorched the earth on. And you can hear the freeway now where you used to not be able to hear the freeway.
Okay,
Now, how much of the hill are they going to take down? Are they going to take it all down?
this will be, as he said, brought back before this committee for a site plan review with an engineer's report that will spell out everything that you're asking about there. And you will have an opportunity to come back with your opinions again at that time. Mr. Chambers?
Just to see if I can clarify your question. Mr. Minton, the top bank currently at the very top of the hill is at 0. Linearly speaking, going northward, how many feet is the top of the hill moving back into the hill?
We're really not getting to the very peak of the hill.
I understand that. I just didn't know, I mean, the cut stops at a certain point today, and you're continuing to cut back into the hill. How many feet closer is that top bank point moving toward to the north? There isn't a top bank line on here I could have visually
Yes.
estimated.
I don't have that exact measurement on here. It's
No, plus or minus 5 or 10 feet?
probably 200 feet.
200 feet.
I'm going to say, and I'm gauging that from the back of where I think the hillside stops right now, the toe of it, to where it will be in the future.
So I'm reading a note that says top ground 275.
Yes,
Is that kind of where the top bank is now?
that's roughly where it's at now, yes.
Okay, that gives me a visual. If y'all are seeing that note on your plans, you can see that it's going to move about, well, you can see how far it's moving. Okay?
Okay. Okay, any other comments? Any comments, Smith? Yes, ma'am. Come forward and give us your name, please.
My name is Vernita Shaw, and I'm at 13 Prospect Trail, which is directly behind that. So I'm wondering, how close is it going to be to my property back there? Because it was a creek back there that's dried up at this point. But when the flood came, of course, there was nothing we could do. But I want to know, what is that going to do? Because is all of that going to be right in my backyard? That's the question I ask.
Okay, Mr. Mitten?
Not sure exactly. Can you point out your property, or here's one right here. I don't know if it helps. Here's the church currently. This is Crystal Hill
Okay.
subdivision over here.
Okay, well, I'm at the sixth house on the left.
Oh, when you turn off of White Oak?
Yes, I'm the
Okay.
sixth house on the left.
Well, that doesn't, we're not planning to develop any of this over here. This is all going back directly north of the church, behind the church.
North of the church, on the hill.
You're on the hill,
On that hillside
correct.
where the dog came out to me the other day when I was walking, okay. Well, I was just curious, and I'm also curious while I'm here as to why that area is not cleaned up all the time, and all the shrubbery and everything back there is just stuck there, and it doesn't belong to the neighborhood. It, belongs to the city, the way I understand it.
Okay, that's an issue that we can address at this commission.
Okay. Well, I just thought I'd ask.
Thank you. This public hearing will be, the results of it will be sent to the city council. The city council will be the one.
Oh, it stops here? Okay, so we're the ones that approve the cut.
City council will not be the one to grant the hill cut.
You're accepting the report from the engineer, the hillside cut report, and our city engineer has said it meets the requirements. So we're having a presentation, a public hearing here of the report, and it's being presented to us. And if it meets everything, it doesn't go to city council. If it doesn't meet everything, then it would go. But we're being told by the city engineer that it's meeting all our requirements.
So it's kind of like a plat.
Yes, that'd be so.
Okay, then, any other comments from the commissioners on the accepting the public hearing? On closing the public hearing? On closing the public hearing, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? It will be closed, and you will see Mr. Spencer, and he can tell you where to go next with it.
Mr. Chairman, point of order.
Yes, sir.
We actually need to vote on accepting the
Let's
hillside
vote on it.
cut. Is that correct? Yes.
Vote to accept the hillside cut on the ordinance as presented. Please call the roll.
Banks,
Yes.
Blasco,
Yes.
Chambers,
Yes.
Foster.
Yes.
Phillips,
Yes.
Pierce,
Yes.
and Chairman Clifton.
Yes. It was approved. See Mr. Spencer, and he can tell you where to go next. Thank you.
And just to let everybody know that, like Mr. Minton said, this will be coming back before the Planning Commission for site plan review for the church, for the addition. So this was just the report that the hill is safe to cut, and that's been presented to the city. So the city's accepted it, so now their next step is to hire in the engineers and that kind of stuff and do the design of the church and the detention ponds and that kind of stuff. So there will be another phase of this 6 months away, 8 months probably. Yeah.
Mr. Spencer, can you explain if notices will be reissued to the same property owners when it comes back in front of this commission?
Right. Yeah, so there will not be any more notice unless there's a waiver. So since they haven't designed it yet, we're not really sure if there'll be some waivers. But if there's no waivers, then there would be no reason to do notice. So you'd need to check back with us.
And Mr. Minton, if I may add, over designing the detention would be in your favor.
Okay. We will pause a minute. You folks are welcome to stay with us, or you may be excused if you'd like.
Here's one. That man's wanting one of these.
Got a couple extra ones.
Our next item of business is subdivision. Mr. Chambers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The site Design Review Committee met and considered item SD 2024-14, WNLR Commercial Edition, Lot 6, preliminary plat and site plan review at 12,601 Maumelle Boulevard. The applicant was present and agreed to items 1 through 16 in subsections, and Development Review Committee recommends approval.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to be approved as submitted. Is the applicant here?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Thomas Poundell with Thomas Engineering.
Okay, have you been presented a copy of the conditions from the Site Plan Review Committee?
We have.
Do you agree with all of them?
We do.
Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this application? Any comments from any of the commissioners? All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Next item is conditional use case number 2024-07, Express Auto Care, a conditional use to allow auto repair minor repairs in a C3 zone at 12601 Maumelle Boulevard. Is the Mr. Poundell, you are representing again?
Yes, sir, Chairman Clifton.
Okay. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this application? Do you approve of all the conditions that
Yes,
have been submitted to consider?
Yes, sir, we agree with the conditions.
Any comments from any of the commissioners? On the application as presented, please call the roll.
Banks,
Yes.
Glasgow,
Yes.
Chambers,
Yes.
Foster,
Yes.
Phillips,
Yes.
Pierce,
Yes.
and Chairman Clifton.
Yes. See Mr. Spencer, and he can tell you what to do next. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is number 4, rezone case 2024-05, rezoning from PI to C6 to allow future development at 1001 West 4th Street. Mr. Poundell, you are representing again?
Yes, sir, Chairman Clifton.
Do you agree with the summary that's been put forth and the background conditions?
If I may add one, the write-up reads office buildings. With C6, we'd want to make sure we have multi-use for residential as well.
C6
okay?
does allow
Okay,
residential.
that's fine.
Okay.
Then yes, we agree. Thank you.
Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this application? Any comments from any of the commissioners? On the application, please call the roll.
Banks?
Yes.
Glasgow?
Yes.
Chambers?
Yes.
Foster?
Yes.
Phillips?
Yes.
Pierce?
Yes.
And Chairman Clifton.
Yes, your application was approved. See Mr. Spencer, and he can tell you what to do next. Thank you.
Thank you.
There has been 2 postponements. Special use case 2024-04, a type 2 short-term rental at 1323 Franklin Street, and also a special use to allow a type 2 short-term rental at 5008 Parker Street in North Little Rock. If you are here for either one of those items, they are postponed and they will not be heard today. Item number 5, rezone case 2024-06, a rezoning from RT1 to R2 to allow development of a single-family homes at 14501, 14503, and 14505 Balcom Drive. Is the applicant here?
Yes, my name is Jeff Acklin. I'm one of the owners of Mid-Arc Houses.
Okay. Have you read the background?
Yes,
on
I believe so.
On this?
Yes,
You approve with that?
yes.
Okay. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this application? Yes, sir. Please come forward.
My name's Darrell Gaines. I live on Balcom Drive. One of our biggest concerns on Balcom Drive is the flooding issue that it's fixing to happen when they go to filling this up and building the land up to do it. I have pictures right here from 2011, and the county went in and cleaned it out all the way across there, and it's helped it tremendously up until this year, and I've got pictures of that also, until January this year, where it turned around and went to flooding everybody out again, flooding the roads and everything. Another thing I gotta say about it is 10, 12 years ago, it was right here at this council. They wanted to rezone that property down there and build on it. It got rejected because of the drainage problem. There was nowhere for it to drain. That is the end of the road. The ditch runs to it, cuts across and goes to Faulkner Lake Road. That's the only outage to it. It got rejected and turned down then. What is any difference today in 2023 than it was in 2010, 2011?
Okay, Mr. Gaines, thank you. Anyone else that would like to speak on this application? Yes, sir. Come forth and give us your name.
My name is Carol Crouch. I live at 14415 Balcom Drive, right there beside the property. I've lived there 21 years, and that place is always flooded. They got it messed up so bad now that my drain going down there, the guy that Tiny was just up here, it flooded his road over his highway there by his house, because the water can't go through my ditch on out there. They got it pushed up so high, and I've asked them several times to dig that out to where it falls off, and they won't do nothing. And it backs up in my yard right now, and it's over his road when it rained, come out 2 or 3 inch rain here about 2 weeks ago. It has no place to go there. They won't dig a hole across there where it falls off into the swamp. And, you know, I've lived there a long time, and I'm not for it.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Yes, my name's Bo Wright. I live on 14738 Faulkner Lake Road. And Brenda Fisher, which is my neighbor, which owns a property that joins their property. I'm one of the closest houses to this property. I've lived there 19 and a half years. I've had water in my shop that I work out of 4.5 inches because this will not drain. Just like Daryl said, the county came in several years ago. They didn't change the diameter of the pipe crossing the road. I came out of the irrigation and land leveling world. If you put a bowl of water and drop a rock in it, the water comes out the other side. If you change any of that, add any dirt, you're gonna raise the elevation of the water, and the diameter of the pipe has not changed. So what the county did was come in, they cut the road, put the water over across the highway on the north side. Then they came down the highway, cut the road again, and put it on the south side. It is completely dug it's literally shelved the ditches off. I can't mow her ditches anymore with a bush hog without keeping turning the tractor over. So in the 20 years that I've lived there, I've watched water run over the road at that pipe 3 times, run completely over Faulkner Lake Road, and we all leave early in the morning, and I've literally thought people are gonna hit that water hydroplane and end up out there in that field. So I'm kind of like Daryl. My property literally joins, I'm one of the ones that affects the most. And this morning, the second house that they have dug the footings on, the southeast corner of that footing has 2 inches of water on it right now. So you tell me how that land is going to perk. Even if you add dirt to that, you cannot add dirt and put field lines and added dirt. It has to be existing conditions. So if there's 2 inches of water right now on the footing, how are you gonna make the land perk? How am I not gonna have sewer coming down that ditch, coming down my property into mine? So that's my concern.
Okay, thank you. This is this something that our engineering department?
There's one more person.
Oh, I'm sorry. Another comment?
I want y'all to see. I want you to see. I want to ask.
If you will give them to Mr. Spencer.
Right there.
You want them to pass around on, or
Well,
you want to
Right,
start on?
Mr. Banks.
Mr. Banks, however you wish to do it.
That's my property.
Okay, is this something that our engineers looks at? Where we at? This is outside the city limits.
It's stamped on 2000.
Excuse me, just a minute. This is outside the city limits? This is in the county, yes. Yes. Is this something that our engineer looks at, approves or anything, or is the county that does that? Okay. The rezoning then, would it come to here and go back to the county for any
Land use.
further action on this? Before anything can be built on it?
It would go to city council for approval.
Rezoning.
For a rezoning.
These pictures were taken in 2011?
That was 2011,
Okay.
before the county straightened it out. And I mean, I can pull up pictures off my phone from either January or February of this year, where we're back to that same scenario. And they started on the land down there in November or whenever it was, and they went to doing what they're doing.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Chambers?
Yes, sir. I have questions of staff. The county closed Faulkner Lake Road, I believe, and improved the drainage under it and raised the road up.
The city did, yes.
The city did.
With partners with the county,
I
yes.
thought it was kind of a city-county deal, but that work decreased the probability of drainage on Faulkner Lake. I thought it was supposed to improve the drainage across the road. I don't know, but since this is a county drainage problem to solve, and nothing's really changed since we heard this case however many years ago, I'm going to vote no, and next time this comes back for rezoning, I just want to see a solid under contract drainage solution that gets the water from here to the other side of Faulkner Lake Road. Seems like a prudent position to take, in my opinion.
So are you wanting the city to pay somebody to do that?
No.
For the
I'm saying
county,
that the
or-
developer
okay.
wants the land rezoned, and when he presents a drainage solution in cooperation with the county, since it's out of our engineer's jurisdiction, then I'll reconsider. I'm personally talking about myself. I'll reconsider the item at that point. Other commissioners may feel differently.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Chambers.
I have a question. The homes that are being built, is that land flooding too?
I've lived out there since 1972. That land's pretty much been all underwater at all times. Now, if they got perk test on it, they got perk test on it back in October. Last year, we had a super dry year. Right, that's about the time I'd want to perk test my land. You know what I'm saying? But it also states that you need to put perk test and pour water and all that in it, the way a perk test goes. They didn't do none of that. I mean, it was super dry down there when they done it.
Chairman?
Mr. Foster?
Let me ask you something. Am I understanding this right? Because you feel like that the development of this piece of property will make the drainage out there worse, because if he raises the property, which, you know, he probably would if all of us would, to, get the water off your land, but it's going to be pushing it on somebody else's land. Is that what I'm understanding?
No, when he raises that level up, and I can show you in one of them pictures, when he raises it up,
right,
I'll tell you, it's just like I told the county. There is a ditch running down. A ditch is running to you, right?
Right.
All right. You decide just to dump a load of dirt in that ditch and at your property, and that's it. What's the use of having a ditch?
Well, you're right.
What's the use of even having a ditch?
Well,
when you run to hit the property that they're wanting to develop, it runs down there, and it does this. It runs east and west. It runs east, and then it starts heading northeast, and then it heads north across Faulkner Lake Road.
Right.
It's a big angle. It's a big what? There was a ditch through there. The county dug a ditch through there. They filled it up.
Was it through the property we're talking about?
Yes, and that's Arkansas code. I can tell you Arkansas code, it says you cannot fail and put material matter in one. That is an Arkansas code.
Let's ask the owner. Would you please come up a minute?
Yeah. Yeah. How are you going to mitigate this issue?
Well, I mean, I have drainage plans here that show we're obviously diverting the water away from these residents into that ditch that runs underneath Faulkner Lake Road. We also have got a perk test that has been approved by the Department of Environmental Quality, so we're good there. As far as a ditch that was dug by the county running through the property, I mean, it's been 11 years since this has been touched. I don't think we saw a noticeable ditch there. But no, our plan is to, and then our other plan is not to bring dirt to build it up, but we're going to build the houses up. So we're not going to raise the level of ground. We're just going to grade basically to the northeast of the property into that ditch that runs under Faulkner Lake Road.
Are you planning on enhancing that ditch during your development?
We can if that's what needs to happen.
Sounds like it needs to.
Sounds like it.
If I understand what's going on here.
Yeah.
Have you had any studies done about the grade of this property and the grade of the property?
I'm going to let Nick speak to this. He's the surveyor.
I'm sorry, say again?
I'm going to let Nick Tucker speak to this.
Oh, okay.
Nick Tucker with Tucker Land Surveying. So the contour of this property falls northeast to the drainage pipe that goes underneath Faulkner Lake Road the gentleman is speaking of. As far as drainage calculations and stormwater retention calculations on that pipe, those have not been done, but the natural contour does flow north and east away from all of the houses west on Balcom Pike. And the landowner does plan to modify and improve existing ditches in place as long as they don't run through the middle of the house. If they do, they'll be rerouted to property lines to move to the east and to the north.
Okay, your 0.2% of the annual floodplain is outside.
Correct. This is all Zone X.
Line.
None of it is in the floodplain.
Okay, any comments from commissioners?
Let me ask one other question. Staff.
Foster?
It's understanding that you're going to build, 3 houses on this piece of property?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. Can staff, Sean, are we rezoning this into 3 pieces of property or just 1?
3 now. Yeah.
It's already.
It's 3 now.
It's three.
What you're seeing there is a tax parcel, but it's 3 lots.
Okay, that's what's
And
confusing.
they're paying 1 tax bill, so it shows.
Okay,
up
I
as
didn't
one
see
big
3
lot.
lines dividing it up. Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any other comments from commissioners? On the application as presented, please call the roll.
Banks,
Yes.
Glasgow,
Yes.
Chambers,
No.
Foster? Yes.
Phillips,
No.
Pierce,
No.
and Chairman Clifton.
No. Your application did fail. You can take it before the city council. This is just a recommendation from this committee. You go get an alderman from your district, and he can take it before the city council to present your case to them.
Yep.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, it's in the county, so the mayor will sponsor you. So give us a call tomorrow, and if you want to continue, we'll get you on the city council agenda for that. So, but you'll still need to do some notice and that kind of stuff, so but call tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
Before we move on, Mr. Chairman, let me ask the
Foster?
staff, is there something that staff can do, or this commission or the city can do to work with the county to help this? It sounds like it's more than just this one little area. It's a big area out there that needs to be helped. What can be done to help these folks?
You're talking about a whole southeast corner, a
Sir.
whole
Sir.
south, northeast corner.
Excuse me, please.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's in the county, but we need to help these people if we can, you know?
There wouldn't be anything in the city.
Well, right. Yeah.
There's a county planning commission, they need to go before them and, do the same thing you did here to the powers that be, because, we're not able to spend money or go out there
I understand that.
on that, so.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that completely.
He's the one asking the question, so
Well,
that's what they would do.
Because I know y'all are talking about the county and the city work together to improve a part of Faulkner Lake Road. Obviously, it wasn't in this area. Is there some kind of a cooperation or collaboration that can happen out to help these folks?
Well, in the case where Mr.
Right.
Chambers was talking about, the county owned one side and we owned the other side.
Oh.
So that's why there was a joint, because half of it was county and half, so that was the situation there. In this case, we're a little different.
And like I was talking, like this gentleman right here was talking, we're talking, it affects one whole block and half another block when it rains. These pictures that I've got show that.
Okay, Mr. Ayers, you can, as Mr. Spencer says, you can go to the county with that.
Yeah, we got to keep them, because you made them part, so we'll make copies and you can get them tomorrow. But you entered them into, like the meeting
Okay.
here, so.
Thank you.
We'll make copies and then you can pick them up tomorrow.
Mr. Gaines.
Okay, item number 6.
We can mail them to you if you give us your address.
Are they gonna send us another notice?
We won't, no, sir.
They have to send us another notice when they go from the city.
Oh, if they go before the council, yes.
From the council.
Yes.
Now, does this put it at
So
a point?
can you come to the microphone so we're.
Is this at a point where they can continue building and doing what they're doing?
They can build on the lots that front on Faulkner Lake
The
Road.
front lots, the R2 lots.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. But they cannot build on the back lots that are on Bockham.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Item number 6, special use 2024-01, a special use to allow a daycare center in an R5 zone at 1821 Edmonds Street in North Little Rock. Is the applicant here? Yes. Thank you for coming. Okay, is the applicant here? Okay, give us your name, please.
Hi, my name is Aisha Green.
Okay, Ms. Green. Evidently, she has all of the signatures and requirements in this time. Have you been given a copy of the conditions to consider?
Yes, sir.
Do you agree with all of those?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this application? Please come up and give us your name.
Good evening. My name is Pat Brewer, and I'm from the Glenview neighborhood. And it's my understanding that some of the people got a notice about building or I don't know whether it's building or is it going to be in the church. So I have several concerns and questions that I want to address. So I didn't know what the protocol was for you to, do you want me to do one question at a time and then let her respond to it? Or do you just want me to speak and tell you what my concern is?
Speak and tell us what your concerns are.
Okay. All right. I just needed clarification on it because like I said, some of the neighbors within 200 feet, I understand, received a notice about the special use. So if they received a notice, I thought they were supposed to go up with a sign that let the community know that they were rezoning that for special use. So I'm concerned about when you say special use, where is the special use? Are you going to rezone it for a special use? So that just takes it out of a residential situation and put it into a special use where other businesses can come in and build. And so I understand when I read the letter, it was talking about they wanted, preschool, daycare, and then it expanded a little bit and said after school care for K through 8th grade. Well, I just envisioned if it was special use at any time, they could change that and put a charter school there. And I love Glenview Elementary School. I love the Recreation Center. And I don't think that we need to have a charter school in there. I could just see that leading to that. So I wish that the person that's addressing this, changing the special use, would actually tell me when you rezone the special use, what land does that encompass? I need to know that first of all. And I just want to know if they're planning on expanding it to further the kids' education and opt to maybe a year or two later and make it a charter school. I need to know that question answered. And so I'm not against the daycare center at all, but I am against putting a charter school in our community. And I am against the special use where it could be rezoned so other businesses could come in and build in a residential area, like putting those storage buildings up or something like that. So that's why I wanted the clarification on the encompass of what area they were speaking of.
Okay, part of what your question is what can be done in and around this area. This is a special use for a daycare facility for this building only. Nothing else around it is considered in this. She can't do anything else except operate a daycare in this building. If she goes out of business, then that special use goes away. It reverts back to what it was. Now, as to what she wants to do with it, briefly tell us what your plan is for the building.
Yes, ma'am. So we'll be operating a daycare center during the school day. So it'll be preschool age students, and then in the after-school program, we'll have kindergarten through 8th grade. I work very close with Mr. Kelly at Glenview Elementary, and we're not trying to be in competition with the recreation center nor the school, but the capacity that they can hold in those facilities, especially after-school programs. I believe Glenview is like 75 students, and then Rose City Community Center around the corner is just 75. There are about 800 students within the area, but they can only serve 150 students after school, which is why we wanted to do the after-school program as well, but no charter school. It's the House of Hope that's attached to New Hope Baptist Church. Yes, ma'am.
It's what?
In the church.
Okay.
The church, the House of Hope, that's the church, not a
Yes, it's a youth center attached to the church called the House of Hope.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Green. They will be required to build a fence around the playground There is quite a few requirements that she will be required to do before she'll be issued a license for this. Does that pretty well answer your questions? Okay, thank you, ma'am. No, ma'am, it will not.
Oh, no, ma'am.
No, ma'am. It'll just be for this building right here only.
For that specific use only.
Any other comments from anyone in the audience? Yes, sir. Come give us your name, please.
Good evening. My name is Jerry Dotson, and I live in the Glenview community as well. I'm trying to get us tied down on exactly what they will be allowed to do. They're saying it's a daycare and after-school care. We don't have to worry about 5 years from now. Now we're going from daycare and we have up to fifth grade classes, because if my concern is you start doing that, and like Ms. Brewer was saying with the charter school thing, if you start doing that, bringing to where you can have classes, say a charter school, we have Glenview sitting there, and if they start pulling from Glenview to take to another school over there, now the possibility of having an empty building sitting in the middle of our neighborhood is our concern. So if we could get something in writing to say this is going to be a daycare and after school only and not have to worry about it, we don't have a problem at all. We love New Hope. New Hope has been good to our neighborhood, but we just don't want that possibility of that happening to us.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dodson. Ms. Chambers?
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well,
go ahead.
Sir, I think what one maybe help answer some of your questions here. After this applicant is our approval or not approval, if he gets approval, then they have to go through DHS, and they have to get a license from DHS to operate this. And that'll be very specific of what she can do here. And it lays out all the requirements of how this needs to develop, how many staff. It's very rigorous, okay? And so they'll have to maintain that license, and they'll come out and inspect them periodically to maintain that license. So I think that's a good assurance that any of those fears you have will be squashed by DHS and their process of licensing these facilities and keeping them licensed.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Foster. Mr. Chambers?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. None of the conditions that we have on this special use, which is granted to her, and it goes away if she quits doing business or for any reason. But the very last one says that the applicant understands the failure to comply with these conditions may result in the loss of the special use, loss of the business license, or removal of the electric power meter. So if she tries to do things beyond what is specifically permitted as a special use, the neighborhood can kind of shut her down. So there's a kill switch on this, to be kind of blunt about it. So the city doesn't necessarily police every little special use we have, but the neighbors can call planning and say, look, she's running a gambling casino out of there now. Well, we'd want to know about that.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments from commissioners? On the application as presented, please call the roll.
Banks?
Yes.
Glasgow?
Yes.
Chambers?
Yes.
Foster?
Yes.
Phillips?
Yes.
Pierce?
Yes.
And Chairman Clifton?
Yes, your application was approved. See Mr. Spencer, and he can tell you what to do next. Thank you. Item number 7, special use case 2024-04 for a short-term rental on 1323 Franklin has been postponed. Special use 2024-05, type 2 short-term rental at 5008 Parker Street has been postponed. Next item on our agenda is subdivision. Mr. Chambers.
Mr. Chairman, the Design Review Committee met and considered item SD 2024-12, McCain Mall Addition, Lot 4C-R, Block 1, replat and site plan review at 4215 Warden Road. The applicant was present, agreed to items 1 through 12 and subsections, and the Design Review Committee recommends approval.
Second. Motion made and seconded, this be approved as submitted. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this application? Any comments from any of the commissioners? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Mr. Chambers?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the Design Review Committee met and considered item SD 2021-15, original City of Argenta, lots 11R and 12R, Block 42, replat at 723 North Magnolia. The applicant was present, agreed to items 1 through 11 and subsections, and the Design Review Committee recommends approval.
Second.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, this application be approved as submitted. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this application? Any comments from any of the commissioners? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Any other for the good of the city?
Move for adjournment.
Motion made and seconded. We be adjourned. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Thank you.